You're listening to Empty Nexters, a podcast about finding joy, beauty, and wonder in the next season of life. What's your next? Well, hello and welcome to the Empty Nexters podcast. I'm your host, Shelley, and I'm so excited to be here with you for another episode. It's just me in the studio today, so I have the joy of speaking to you from my heart. And our next episode today will be on the topic of empty versus full. So let's dive in. Okay, when I say the word empty, what do you think of? Well, if you're anything like me, picture this scenario. I'm having a chocolate craving, mainly chocolate frosting craving. And the only way to fix that is to go to the cabinet, find my hidden container of chocolate frosting that I know is there because I'm literally the only one in the household that should be eating it, only to find it's empty. Oh, the travesty. Okay, I'm sure you're getting a laugh out of that because maybe you can relate. Or what about running on fumes with your gas tank? That is a no fun situation. So when I was growing up, I was a preteen and we would spend some summers with my grandmother. She was a wonderful, beautiful woman. Her name is Grandma Moore. Well, she also had a negative spin to her. She would always lean towards that negative response. For example, when we would have Sunday lunch, we would come home and the house would smell of amazing food, roast beef, mashed potatoes, all those wonderful things. And we would make the comment, "Grandma, this is the most wonderful roast beef." Well, instead of saying thank you, she would immediately say, "Well, it's a little salty. It probably could have used a little more gravy." And instead of just saying thank you, she would just go negative, but she would eventually say thank you. So I gravitated towards that. I was around it a lot. So if you were to ask me, is that glass in front of you half full or half empty? You guessed it. I'd say half empty. I would even go so far as to say something negative before I would even give a compliment or take a compliment. For example, "Shelley, you look really nice in that dress." "Oh, really? I think it makes my hips look too big," or "I'm not sure I like the way." And then I would say, "Oh, thank you very much." See where I'm going with this? Well, then I got saved and born again. While Jesus came into my life and helped me, I still had negative tendencies. It wasn't easy. I didn't change it overnight. And then I married the most wonderful, optimistic man on the planet. So with the help of Jesus and my husband, my perspective started shifting. But of course, life comes along and sometimes we get sucker punched and it creates moments where negativity can sneak in. Man, it can overcome you like a thick cloud that you cannot get out of, and you certainly can't see the sun. So I thought, well, let me look up what the word empty means. I mean, I know we've heard it a gazillion times. You probably all can shout it to me through the other side of this podcast. Well, the word empty simply means containing nothing, not filled, and not occupied. We could stop right there and just focus on those three words or those three phrases: containing nothing, not filled, and not occupied. Do any of these definitions resonate with you? Do you connect with any of them? Do you ever feel like you're running on empty? Like you have nothing to give? You feel like the glass is half empty all the time? Do you feel like you're running on fumes? The gas tank is running on fumes. And when I say gas tank, I mean you. Another phrase that my grandmother Moore would use, she would say, I want to go back to this. She would be the star of this podcast. I meant to say that. She would say, "You kids go keep yourself occupied or keep yourself busy." I want to focus on the word occupied. As we said earlier, one of the definitions of empty is the word not occupied. So I got to thinking, we've spent a lot of time being occupied with the lives of our children or our families. So when that changes and we're not prepared, we're not occupied anymore with much of anything. And that's how we can get empty. So the definition of empty also had the phrase containing nothing. Again, not to beat a dead horse, but once the kids have left, once the job is gone, once things have changed, we have these feelings of nothingness. There's like a void. Being empty can create a whole set of problems itself. For example, an empty gas tank can cause a lot of distress. You're stuck on the side of the road. You have to call AAA. It can be scary and frustrating. And another one that's kind of funny, but not, you're going to the refrigerator. You think you're going to get some milk. You find an empty gallon of milk there. Wonder how that happened. That container's empty and you may lose your mind. Empty is a real thing. It can cause you to feel disconnected from others, and it can cause severe loneliness as well. I've experienced that. I want to hide away safely in my home and never come out because those feelings of what do I do and what's my purpose now, or what does anyone need from me? Those flooded in and I didn't know how to handle it. So this is me throwing up a caution flag to you saying, be prepared for the loneliness. Be prepared for those feelings of emptiness that will come. Now I want to flip the script a little bit and talk about being full. So again, when you think about that word full, I'd immediately go to what we're going to be celebrating next month. This is October. Next month, we're going to be celebrating Thanksgiving. Yep. I remember many a time where 3 or 4 days out, I would stop eating a lot. I'd kind of slow down on my eating so that I could manage just, eating so much on Thursday on that Thanksgiving day that I was way full. I mean, I was so full, I felt like I was going to burst. Well, that's what I think full should be, that we should be bursting with possibility, bursting with hope, filled with hopes for a future after those seasons change, no matter what they are. Man, I wish somebody would have said that to my heart. You know that old 80s song, Tell It to My Heart? Yep, that's what I'm talking about. Do you know sometimes having a good cry is good? And man, have I had a few good cries. But I can't stay there. There's also a song, and the line says, Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again. I think I let darkness and loneliness be my friend. I didn't want to connect. I didn't want to let it go. But you know what? We have to let it go if we're going to get on with our life and live full. So as I've been going through this whole process of becoming an empty nexter, and believe me, it's a process, but I have been learning that I am a child of the King. Now I'm going to flip that script again. Living the full life, how does that look in this season that you're in? Like I said before, it's a process. We have to see it through the lens of joy and not be pulled into negative things. Sometimes you have to disassociate yourself with negative people, negative situations. It's a choice you have to make, and it's never easy, but it's worth it. We want to see the glass full instead of half empty. I'll be retiring soon, and with that will come feelings of loneliness and disconnection because I have, not ashamed to say, but sad to say, allowed my job to define me, allow being a parent to define me, allow those empty spaces left by my kids leaving to define me. So I want to be prepared. I want to hear the warning signs. I want to make sure I manage through this well. So we started working at our church's community outreach, and it's been the most joy-filled, wonderful experience. I never pictured myself doing it. My husband and I were asked to help lead it, and we didn't hesitate to say yes. Little did I know what I was walking into. It has helped me see things from a different perspective. I never dreamed I'd be sitting here doing this, but I started figuring out the more I take one step in front of the other and do things afraid, man, it opens up so many possibilities. So if someone comes up to you and says, hey, would you consider? Can I ask you to consider? Because that might be the one thing that launches you into your next, that helps fill that empty void you may have in your heart from whatever season has come and gone in your life. So I now try to live fuller in every way I possibly can. Do I have days I wish I could go back and just get caught up in nostalgia? Of course. But I also know that nostalgia can paralyze you. It can keep you caught up in memories. I want to move forward. I want you to move forward. I used to hear the phrase, live full, die empty. To me, that phrase simply means living with purpose and intention. I'm learning how to fully engage in life. Man, that is a daily struggle. I have to fully engage. I also have been learning how to keep short accounts with people. And that's hard too because I don't like having hard conversations. But what's harder is constantly rehearsing in my mind. I need to speak to this person. I need to clear my heart. I need to empty that offense out. Man, when that happens and you get that out, it is so freeing. I encourage you to do that. And the choice I must make daily, it's not always easy, but I try to make those choices. But at least I'm walking towards that. At least I'm walking in that right direction most days. And that's what I want for all of you. I want you to join me walking towards that, towards freedom and joy, so that you can grab someone else's hand and say, okay, I'm going to get cheesy again. Come on, get happy. Who remembers the Partridge Family? Okay, millennials, if you don't, I'm going to let you Google that one. Have I always wanted to say that? Yes. So how do we live full, have a full life and not an empty one? Number one, Jesus, for me, and I hope for you, is the only way to have true fulfillment. Find what you're passionate about. This will be trial and error. Sometimes you're going to start something and go, yeah, that's not working. You may decide to, I don't know, do Meals on Wheels. You may decide to work in your church's community outreaches. Figure out what makes you happy. I never dreamed doing this podcast would bring me so much joy. It has birthed things in me I never thought were there. Maybe they were there all along, but I just didn't take the time to recognize. Focus on relationships. I find so much joy in meeting new people and getting to know their story. Have coffee or lunch with them and being present. Man, being present is a lost art. It is so valuable. Serve in your community. Live a life of gratitude. These are just some of the things that I do, and I encourage you to do them as well. So as I close this podcast today, I want to think of the word empty in a different way. It doesn't have to necessarily have a negative connotation to it. Empty means that you let go of other things that you've been holding on to, that you can clear out your heart and your mind. Let it be empty so that you are opened up to new experiences, new joys, and other ways to be filled. My heart also today is that you have found something that connects with your spirit so that when you walk away, you keep thinking of how I can live full and not empty. I've so enjoyed being with you today. This is Shelley. Now I'm saying you go out and find your next. Have a great one.
This could be the best year of